Toto, made infamous a couple of years ago with one of the greatest intro sequences we have ever seen. So first off, this fighter says he was sent back by our future AI overlords. I know, right? It's riveting. This fighter likes to set their target to ease by dancing to Glam Soul. And as I already mentioned, you are in for an absolute treat with this entrance. Now, they stated that their specialism is 101 gigahertz. You can see what kind of fighter we're expecting in the ring. So, let's make some noise. In the white corner, weighing 78 kilograms, standing at 185 centimeters with a chest elo of 2,144. Let's make some noise for the return of Anthony Toto the Robot Bourached. I'm exhausted. That was, wow, absolutely brilliant. So who is joining Toto the Robot in the ring? Let's find out. The next fighter. Now, he normally has a bit of an entourage coming on stage with him as well. This next fighter is the self-proclaimed King of Persia. Yeah, he'd like us to all kneel before his Anglo-Iranian glory. Up to you if you do, whatever. But he is a professional landlord by trade. And if he doesn't own you now, he says he still will soon. Now, he says he doesn't enjoy putting your rent up, but he does enjoy the finer things in life it affords him. That's landlords for you, right? His specialty apparently is sovereign power. Well, let's see how good that power is. In the black corner, weighing 76 kilograms, standing at a height of 177 centimeters, with an elo of 1,800. Give it up for Shayan, Shah, Zarein, Dolab. If he doesn't put your rent up, he might knock you out. Give a big cheer. Let's give them all our support. Give it up for both fighters, Toto the robot and the Shah. All right, enjoy your bout. And I'm handing over to our commentary team.
Quality has won a chess boxing bout before, so an important first for one of them today, which is incredibly exciting. As mentioned, Shayan with the edge in the boxing, Anthony with the edge in the chess, but Anthony's boxing remains a little bit of an unknown factor.
We didn't get to see that much of it last time out. Certainly he'll be looking to avoid such a quick end, but really, what a pair of entries. I mean, Eye of the Tiger Classic. Oh, hello. What do we have here? This is taking the nakedness of the berserker. That's a bit more historical accuracy here. This is quite eye-popping. A man in a morph suit and a man wearing a bear hat, nearly naked. Who would have thought it, Matt Long? Who would have thought it?
Who indeed? We have one bout to go. It's going to be an absolute corker. Don't look away. We are about to kick off. Anthony Bourached, Toto the robot, demasked with the white pieces, Shayan playing black.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Shayan responds to the challenge of playing yet another strong player here. He takes it just very seriously, and he loves stepping up, testing himself against the more regular players who come from that classical background. I can't wait to see both of them trying to prove themselves on both disciplines here, man.
And if my memory serves, we might get yet another Queen's Gambit. And we're off! Chess, 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 chess! And we have another modern defense, as we did in the second bout. And Shayan is going for the hippopotamus opening, which was mentioned in the notes to the second bout. You can catch the recording if you like. So, bishop to b7, the other bishop is on g7. I suspect Black's plan is to move his queen's pawn forward 1 square, his king's pawn forward 1 square, put his knight in front of the king, his other knight in front of the queen, move his rook's pawns forward 1 square, and basically say, what do you got?
It's again a battle of two philosophies. So, Anthony Bourached, as we've seen before from several players, occupying the center with the pawns, staking the ground. Shayan trying to control it from the sides with those raking 2 bishops. It's a battle of philosophies. They're jockeying to see whose is going to come on top in this first round.
And who doesn't love a philosophy battle of a Saturday evening? So, interestingly, White has played a4, and I believe the right idea is to play a6 now. Otherwise, a5. Oh, he's played a5. He's played a5, interesting. So White can't play a5 himself. He's just moved his knight into c4. So that a4 pawn is preventing the knight from being kicked by the pawn on b6. Black can play a move like d5, attacking the knight, but it's against the spirit of the opening to play such a committal pawn move too early. The idea is you wait for White to play their committal moves and then you respond. It's a hyper flexible opening, but one that is full of nuance. And is it the kind of opening that you can play effectively when you've just been punched in the face?
I mean, certainly we might have a look at things kind of evolve after this, but this is a very cagey first round. As you mentioned, Black is basically just saying, I'm gonna kind of lie back, see how you're going to develop your pieces. There's not that much contact between the two armies. They're just developing, getting into position. As you say, this sets us up for a maneuvering battle that could go quite deep in terms of rounds, Matt.
Yeah, this is definitely setting ourselves up for having a lot of boxing, which is super exciting. I think Black may have missed a trick by not playing h6 instead of rook e8, based on the fact that that's the move you want to play in this hippopotamus structure. And now with this queen d2 move in front of the rook, he can't play it. And Black has played e5, a committal move. He's played a committal move. And I, for one, am very excited.
Oh, I can barely contain myself here, Matt. This has fixed the structure and made it even more of a philosophical maneuvering battle that I love to see. Those two pawn chains are locked in the center. White's pointing a little bit towards the queen side where he has a little bit more space. Black's pointing towards the king side where he might look to expand by pushing forward that pawn that indeed he just has.
And if anyone here has read the Axel Smith tome, Pump Up Your Rating, I'm sure you have, who hasn't, you will know that pawn breaks are an integral part of playing an effective chess game. So if we kind of look at it from White's perspective, you've got the potential to play b4 at some point, and you've also got the potential to play f4 at some point. What Black may want to try and do is play f5 himself, but that is a risky idea because of the weakness of the e6 square, and it may entail opening up the king side, and if he opens up the king side, there's a risk of checkmate.
Oh, and we haven't seen as much checkmate as we would like to, especially in the last bout, ending on time. And let's have a look at the clock. Shayan a little bit behind as the round ends.
High quality first round. You've read my mind, Chris Levy. And that's the bell, and we're gonna see a robot box.
Matt Lunn, I thoroughly enjoyed that round. That was one for the chess purist there. The duel of philosophies, the hippopotamus, pawn breaks, a discussion about the center, a maneuvering game after all the hurly-burly that we've seen. Who doesn't like seeing the cut and thrust of an open game? But this is one that could go deep, and I, for one, am very excited.
I completely agree. There is basically zero chance of it ending next round on the basis that if one side, say, blunders a queen, you carry on because of the boxing element. If there is no way that this is going to quickly open up. But as with a lot of these positional games, when it does open up, it will do so in a really, really interesting way, and potentially will end up in a scenario where one side can glean a big advantage. And crucially, as you alluded, Shayan is massively down on the clock, and that could become increasingly important.
Especially in a close game like this. But our Berserker is in once again. I am looking forward to seeing how these two match up. In the ring, are we going to see the hurly-burly, or are we going to see the same cerebral approach as we saw over the board?
And now, I guess in the boxing, the main thing for Anthony is how scarred are you from last time? What if you have an upsetting experience in the boxing ring? What impact does that have on your next fight?
It certainly can make you a little bit gun-shy, as we say. So all kudos to him to surmounting those fears and clambering back in after, what was his first fight ended in a knockout. So I think it's a very brave thing, and he's testing himself against a strong opponent here in the boxing in Shayan. But he does have the height advantage if you look at how they match up. So I'll be looking to see if Anthony can establish that jab earlier, as he like to see the taller boxer do, or will Shayan get close to him, as our referee Ronaldo is.
Shayan, of course, also a comparatively late replacement after Matt Crazy Arms Reed became ill. Also, all our best wishes to Matt Reed, a real treasure of the chess boxing scene. But will that have an impact on Shayan's approach as well?
I don't think, you can see him from looking at him. He's a fanatical trainer. He loves the sports in general. I would expect him to be bout ready for sure. A crouching style from Anthony and a slightly wild haymaker there. He's looking a little ungainly, but stood up to that right hand well and fired back well, rocking Shayan back on his heels with a counter punch.
What a start! What a start! Shayan trying to end the contest immediately with a flurry of blows. But Anthony acquitting himself quite well so far.
He did land a very strong counter punch there, which hopefully will have dissuaded Shayan, but I think Shayan is looking to close this one early. Anthony would be well advised to keep moving here, to, again, as I say, get on the bike and make sure he's not too static a target as he ships another heavy right hand followed by a combination from Shayan. A minute left in this round now. Anthony, hats off to the guts to get back in the ring, and he's standing up well to the assault so far.
Yeah, Anthony is clear.
Oh! That said, clipped
Just
by
as
the
I
right
say
hand.
that is a big blow.
He takes the knee. He's going to take an 8 count here from referee Ronaldo. But there are 30 seconds left in the round. So it's now a case of is Shayan going to be following up to finish it early, or will Anthony see it through to get back to the chess?
Yeah, and with 30 seconds left, one imagines that both sides will survive the round, and it's a question of, in such a complicated position, where really someone can come up with the wrong plan. Oh, and just as I say, Shayan is landing that flurry of blows as if he wants to force a Jaffa in the next round.
He absolutely wants to do that, or even end it here on the ring. It's not a subtle approach. He's just windmilling the rights and the left in. But Anthony needs to either tie up or fight back as he sees his way through the round. A brave effort there from Anthony against a strong late replacement. But as you are hinting at, can you force the chess, as he clearly needs to, in a position like this that is made for maneuvering?
Yeah, you've got to feel a strong boxing round is definitely going to benefit Shayan. If I were him, I would play a series of quiet, non-committal moves, ideally moving your pieces rather than the pawns. I really like the idea of getting f5 in. If you can, it seems to be the right idea for black. But if there's a way of just gently improving your position so that Anthony, who's had to endure that flurry of activity in the last round, he's the one who has to try and force something, and maybe he'll make a mistake. I guess the problem is Shayan doesn't really have many ways of improving his position apart from something like f5, unless he's going to play, I don't know, king h8, knight g8, but I mean then f5 is harder to get in, so I think probably he does have to play f5, but maybe after that you start maneuvering, start improving the position, and see if Anthony tires.
I would just hunker down here, to be honest. I mean, yes, you always want to look for counterplay, but I think there's a chance he could stop it in the next boxing round. And I think if you're Anthony here, maybe it's a bit anti-positional. Yeah, we were talking about how his pawn structure indicates a queenside attack, but I might be to hell with a positional approach here. I might look to exchange those black bishops, crack open the king side, create some chaos, and try and finish it before another boxing round. Frankly, sometimes in chess boxing, the best plan from a purist chess perspective is not the right plan.
No, I couldn't agree more with you, Chris. I think this is going to be a very intriguing contest. We might well have another maneuvering round in the chess, but there are definitely scenarios where one side plays a committal pawn move and the position breaks open. So really, really intriguing encounter to follow. And given where the boxing is poised, I think this is going to be a classic.
It really is. Tactics are hugely important here. And the counterplay, the symbiosis again between the two disciplines.
And we're back. So black plays queen to g4. Chris and I were talking on the Twitch feed, and we were saying that given the flurry of activity that Anthony, Toto the robot, had to endure playing white, maybe black's strategy here is to play non-committal, improving moves and really kind of set the tone, make it tricky for white to come up with the right plan, given that he's taken a ton of punches to the face.
And Anthony, on the other hand, needs to look to maybe, even though it's a maneuvering type of position, perhaps try and crack things open a bit, force the pace, create a bit of chaos on the board, and see if he can win in that way.
Speaking of, he's played f5, and black is now threatening to play f4. Well, I say threatening, f4 is a move, and a pretty good move, I think. It forces bishop takes c5, which he's done anyway, I don't like that move at all. That knight was well placed on c5, but I think black is the one with a clear plan here. He has the potential of quite a strong kingside attack, which could lead to checkmate. And now he's swapped off. Black has swapped off a bishop for a knight. That knight was threatening to take on c7, and as we saw in the Northern Powerhouse win, that would have been a fork that would have won an exchange. Exciting stuff, exciting, gritty, grotty positional stuff, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, I'm reveling in this, man. I think Shayan's really improved his position here since the start of the round. Those exchanges help him kill a little bit of the play that Anthony was threatening to develop on the queen side. I think I like black here. I don't know about you.
I like black as well. I like black as well here. I think that the thing that he wants to do is get his e7 knight into the game, as long as taking on f5 isn't a good option for white. So, okay, he's played f4. F4, classic kind of King's Indian structure. I think black is going to follow up with g5 and g4. White locking up the position on the queen side. I think white, look at that bishop, look at that light squared bishop. It's got nowhere to go. It's basically a giant pawn, and black is throwing his pieces down the board.
So you can see that pawn chain, that little diagonal there that points towards white's king. So Shayan has more space.
Oh, he swapped off queens. The queens are off the board.
I think this endgame could still be quite good for black.
It is. I think keeping the queens on might have been the way forward. That might have been the way forward. I still prefer black here, but there's less of a checkmating threat. White is really locking down the position. That light squared bishop, it is not a happy bishop at all. It can reroute via the d1 to h5 diagonal, which I think he's doing. He's played rook a1, and now we look at this. Is the a5 pawn a weakness, Chris?
So Anthony is, as you say, homing in on maybe the one thing that's not so good about the black position. That pawn at the edge cannot be defended by another pawn.
Bishop d1. I absolutely love bishop d1. That is a delightful move by Toto the robot. No wonder computers are better at this than us.
So what he was doing was uncovering the line there for his other rook to swing forward, across rather. The two rooks are targeting the a-pawn,
but
which is lost.
White's won a pawn! White's won a pawn! And not only that, he's going to win the a5 pawn next. The situation has completely turned white. White, whose position was really grotty, really locked down. Black had the potential of a really strong kingside attack, but the queens came off. White started maneuvering. No, he's lost a rook! He's lost a rook!
And look at the time as well.
They're going to take their headphones off, but that's the bell. What a turn of events. What a change. Oh, my giddy aunt.
That was sensational. Just as we were starting to sing the praises of Shayan's playing, really unraveling those kingside pawns and levering open, having all the play. He imploded at the end there, Matt. What happened?
Well, it's completely gone. Black was generating a really nice kingside attack. White played this very clever move, knight h2, covering the g4 square and offering the swap of queens. And I think at that point, black needed to bring his queen back and start pushing the pawns down the board. But actually, once the queens came off, the pressure decreased and the weakness on a5 became the main part of the position. And actually, black ended up blundering the pawn on h5 as well. And then at the end of the round, he moved his king, and it was a kind of, the wrong plan. He moved his king there, losing the rook on a8. And the game is over now, and it's all about the boxing.
But bishop d1, Matt, you are singing its praises. Tell us more about, often the backwards retreat is the most elegant move, and that was certainly an example.
I think the thing is, you talk about good bishops and bad bishops, and I was saying that White's bishop was really unhappy because it was hemmed in by all the pawns. But what White managed to achieve once the queens came off is to reroute his bishop to a really, really good diagonal because it was attacking that undefended pawn on h5. So he basically got his worst piece and activated it, and now it's one of his best pieces. That bishop is going to come off the board in a second, but that flurry of activity led to Shayan blundering, and rook takes a7 is going to come. Rook takes a8 is going to come next, and I don't see Shayan getting back from this.
And it sets us up perfectly for this boxing round, where Shayan is really going to have to force the pace, even more so than he did in the first round. He has 3 minutes. It's basically KO or bust for Shayan, the Prince of Persia here. And he starts off in much the same vein as the previous round, finish there with a flurrying attack. But he's getting a bit of a ticking off there from referee Ronaldo for the grappling there. And this is eating into the clock already. We've only got 1.5 minutes left on the clock in this boxing round as Shayan throws the leather again, looking to land that big right hand.
And Anthony's come up fairly aggressively, given that he must know he's a very strong chess player. He will know the chess is as good as one, unless he missed the rook hanging on a8. But Well, as I say that, he's had to endure a flurry of blows there.
He's certainly taking a lot of punishment. He is firing back, which the referee Ronaldo needs to see to keep the bout going, because if he takes too much punishment, a little rabbit punch to the back of the head there sees Anthony taking a warning. Quite canny, that warning itself eats up some time, as we have less than a minute left on the clock for this round. It's a similar scenario as we saw in the last bout, Matt. It's KO or bust, as I say. Can Shayan pull it out?
Yeah, and with 40 seconds left, he's doing the right thing. He's not like expending all of his energy, right? But he is getting his blows in where he can, in the knowledge that if Anthony falls, it could be over, and really, he might not get another boxing round after this.
I would expect it to be over in the next chess round. As it's the last 20 seconds, Anthony against the ropes, as Shayan gives it everything that he has left to try and force the stoppage that he needs to claim this. And he's down. Anthony is down. But I think he's going to see his way through the rounds. As there is the goal. He has survived. He was down, but not out. And now he has the chance to finish things off on the board, having survived heroically.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity, a huge opportunity. I'm very, very excited about this. Anthony with a winning position, but as with the David Germany game, it comes down to whether he can do it in time or not. The position is close enough that if Shayan plays kind of slowly and carefully, and I don't think, with the clock situation, Shayan is not going to survive 2 rounds of chess, even if he were, you know, in a better position, and he's dead lost. So ultimately, Shayan just needs to make sure that there's another round of boxing, and given the flurry of activity there, he would be with a good chance, I think.
He basically has to do what Anthony did in that last round of boxing, which is somehow survive, and if he can, then he'll thrive in his discipline. The boxing, this is edge of the seat stuff, Matt.
Yeah, it really is. This is the hybrid sport at its best and at its most hybrid. Clear advantage for one side in the boxing. Got there in the end. Clear advantage for the other side in the chess. So really, it's a race between one discipline and another. Quite often, the chess race is inherently faster, but actually, Anthony was in a bit of a bad way towards the end of that, and there's every chance that he doesn't survive the next round of boxing.
Let's also see if that's impacted his play a little bit, having been down. He is a very high-quality 2,000 ELO plus player. You would expect it not to take his level down too much, but might it make him a bit slower than he would otherwise have been, as our Berserker once again whips up the Boston Dome crowd into a chess-loving frenzy.
Absolutely, it's a wonderful crowd here at the Dome in Tuffnel Park, and if you haven't been before, I highly encourage you to come. And Anthony has won a rook! He's won a rook! We are in a fascinating situation, ladies and gentlemen. White is clearly winning in the chess, and has a massive time advantage, but Black is clearly ahead in the boxing. So basically, Chris Levy, it's a race.
It's an inverse of what we saw in the boxing. Now Shayan has to somehow grit his teeth and survive. And I think the problem is exactly this. Anthony is going to gang up on that C pawn, pick it up, and then pop that B pawn forward until it reaches the end. And when it reaches the end, it becomes a queen, Matt.
It becomes a queen, Chris. So he's played F3. What, G4 check? What a nice idea. So he's played G4. The king now doesn't have a ton of squares. He's not getting checkmated, but Anthony must know if he doesn't win chess in this round, he might go down in the boxing, and they've swapped up rooks. We're in the end game now.
Deep in the end game, and that wasn't perhaps the cleanest way there. I thought he was going to keep the B pawn on and push it forward. Anthony's still clearly winning, but there's 2.5 minutes we're getting to in this round. Can Shayan survive? He's got 2 minutes left on his clock. He needs to think.
Shayan has 2 minutes left on the clock. There's just over 2 minutes left of the round. I think he has every chance of surviving, and survival really is the name of the game. The worst thing that could happen would be for his king to get randomly mated in the middle of the board. And to be honest, there are a few mating nets here. The problem is, knight takes G5, a lovely little tactic there. Because after king takes, rook takes bishop, and white's won a pawn! White's won a pawn.
They are moving at such a pace here. Shayan needs to slow down. One more round of boxing. We're down to 2 minutes left in the round. Shayan still has nearly 2 minutes left on his clock, but he's blitzing out here.
Yeah, Shayan's strategy here, whilst admirable, is not pragmatic at all. It's really not. The more moves he gives Anthony to make, the closer he gets to that trivially winning endgame. Because you see that pawn next to the rook, it's going to go up the board, it's just going to keep going up the board, and it's going to become a queen. And once it becomes a queen, it's going to be checkmate in just a couple of moves. If Shayan keeps playing at this speed, it could be over this round.
It could be over, but he's slowed down a bit now. He's down to almost 1 minute left on his clock and 1.5 minutes in the round. But he's blitzing again, Matt. Why isn't he slowing down?
I don't know. He just loves chess too damn much.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Chess!
Chess!
Chess! Chess!
D6, he's going to make a queen. It's unstoppable. And once he makes a queen, it's going to be checkmate, but we only have a minute left. Shayan, for the love of God, stop moving your pieces.
Run that clock down, Shayan. Stop. There's the queen. There's the queen.
What are you doing? It must be checkmate in 5 or 6 moves, but there's honor in just stopping moving the pieces. Just give yourself another round of boxing.
45 seconds in the round, 30 seconds on the clock. Can Anthony checkmate, or is he going to be forced to enter the ring again?
Anthony can play instantly. His moves are all very straightforward. Just check with the king, queen, and it's going to be mate. He's played king f2. So hang on. Queen f6 is mate. Queen f6 is mate. And Shayan has 50s. Queen f6 is mate.
Checkmate! It's checkmate!
Anthony has won.
What a finish with 15 seconds left in the round. Anthony, that canny king move setting up the checkmate. High class.
Anthony Bourached, who was knocked out in 20 seconds last time, has won his first ever chess boxing bout.
What a game, Matt. I can't wait to hear what he has to say as it's over to Gemma to interview the victor.
Let's give it up for both these fighters, first of all, before I announce officially. Wow. All right, step to the referee. The winner of, again, another thrill ride of a bout of chess boxing by checkmate, Anthony Toto, the robot Bourached. Let's give it up for both our fighters, for Anthony Bourached and for Shayan Zarein Dolab, who fought like a champion in those boxing bouts. Wow.